All right, y'all. Yesterday was a crazy day as far as hip hop diss tracks were concerned. Now, Drake had dropped his push ups diss song to Kendrick and many others in just hours after Rick Ross released his diss track to Drake entitled Champagne Moments, making the Ross diss one of the quickest released diss songs of all time. What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button up for your boy, as well as subscribe to the channel. All that is greatly appreciated. Well, getting right into this diss track, Champagne Moments. So we did not even get a chance to fully digest the bars on the Drake disc because Ross dropped so quickly. And that was partially strategic for Ross because it ultimately stole a little bit of thunder from Drake, since I'm sure Drake wanted to make the weekend all about him. But let me get straight into this beat. We get a dark, luxurious instrumental that's both gritty yet mafioso. I love the strings, and I think one can make a strong case that this is the best beat out of all the recent diss tracks. Now, I already stated that I liked the beat for Kendrick and for Drake, but I'm not mad at someone feeling this is the best instrumental thus far. So getting right into the bars, Ross starts out with ghostwriters. They get to floss what you could have had. And I was thinking, this whole ghostwriting angle, it's a bit predictable at this point. I'm not saying you can't bring it up, but it's like if artists continue to make songs about Eminem being a drug addict. It just doesn't have the same sting nowadays. Ross says, "You are a worker wanting to chart, don't make me laugh." Okay, so Ross is pointing out that he is this big, powerful CEO, and Drake is just an artist who doesn't make those big CEO-like moves. I guess that's the flex. Ross goes on to talk about chain snatching. Now, this thing started with Kendrick, but I can't really picture Kendrick or Drake snatching chains. I will say, though, that this hook is catchy enough. At the beginning, Ross says, "Pop a perk for the Ville." So I'm assuming he's letting J. Cole know that there's some love for him with that line. We know that J. Cole needs all the love right now while he is probably safely tucked away in a secured basement somewhere. So as a whole, I thought this first verse was just okay. There were some jabs being thrown, but they were cliche in my opinion. You know, nothing crazy stood out to keep it above. The second verse, it's a little better, to be fair. Ross opens by stating, like his moves, but he never had a fight in school, always ran another dude, had to write your grooves. Okay, so Ross is coming at Drake, trying to expose him for not being a street guy, which is super obvious. I mean, I'd assume the most clueless casuals out there in the world even know that Drake is not a street guy. And the ghostwriting stuff, it's expected, but repetitive again, because there's still no direct proof that any of Drake's actual verses were penned by anyone else. You can hate Drake, I totally get it. And yes, we do know that his hooks in the past and bridges have been done by someone else, but I've personally yet to see any credible evidence suggesting that ghostwriters wrote his actual verse. And to be clear, this is not me sticking up for Drake or trying to give the man a pass. It's just that ideas for hooks, they tend to get thrown around a lot by a lot of artists in the studio, and that kind of ghostwriting is a lot different than someone writing down your verses. Ross then adds, "Flow is copy and paste. Weezy gave you the juice." Two things here that I don't think really hit that hard. Now, the whole "your flow is copy and paste," I'm not really sure that applies to Drake, mainly because he might switch up his flow too many times, especially with the accent. And respectfully, Ross, the whole flow is copy and paste, it might honestly apply to you way more, as I have heard criticism that, you know, Ross raps pretty much the same on all beats with little variation. Now, as far as the Weezy gave you the juice line, okay, I'll give you that. Then Ross said, "Another white boy at the park want to hang with the crew." All right, so it seems like Ross he's taking a page from Benzino's playbook when Benzino goes at Eminem and suggesting that he has no street cred, and he's also saying Drake is white. It just sounds super Benzino-like. Honestly, I would have to say that the hardest bars from Ross are here. Told you dudes stay scheming. I predicted my fate. Like, that was probably the most clever response on this disc. Also thought his next lines might have been the second best on the track. Let you get on my song, it was good for your face, because this is a solid response to Drake's claim that all of Ross's biggest songs featured Drake. But then Ross boasts, got more money than you, F you want me to say. I don't know, y'all. I mean, does the average hip hop head really care about this? I don't know. Then at the end of the track, or the outro part, he does some talking, and I mean literal talking. He's not rapping here, to be specific. And on this part, he reveals some scathing TMC-like stuff, you know, all the messy stuff that's gonna get traction on social media. Like when he said, you never wanted to be black anyway, that's why you had an operation to make your nose smaller than your father. I don't know. And he exposes Drake for allegedly calling the cops on French Montana, which, if true, is a sucker move from Drake, for sure. Then there's more white boy talk, which is kind of funny, but then I'd have to ask, would J. Cole get the same treatment, you know, since he is half white? Or is it that Drake just gives more white guy vibes? Ross also says, give Weezy more money. I mean, does he really need to? Is Weezy down bad like that? Or, you know, has Drake gone out of his way to not show love to Weezy? I didn't really get that part. Then he says, give Rap a lot more money. I don't really think he needs to, because people have suggested that Rap a Lot is deep into Drake's pockets, almost as if Drake is being extorted by Rap a Lot. So that probably would have made sense if he went that route. And lastly, Ross exposes Drake for getting ab surgery. It's kind of funny. Do we really care? I don't know. Let me know below. So overall, I think this is just an okay diss track. I've seen that quite a few people like this. I'm sorry, y'all. I just gotta call it like I see it for me. And there were some lines that maybe stung, but I felt this was just a typical Ross song. I do think, though, that if he would have spent maybe a little more time with it, then it would have been a little more potent. Like, I felt some of the stuff he said was like super cliche and obvious. Like, we already know Drake is not street. We already heard the ghostwriter allegations over and over again. In my opinion, those kind of jabs just don't sting the way they may have back in the day when Meek dissed them, and even that didn't go so well. So I feel that Ross kind of channeled both Benzino and Meek in the way that he targeted Drake on this record. But I would say the hardest part to this diss track was the production. I mean, the beat definitely slapped. I also got to give Ross points for responding expeditiously. That being said, I'm still of the mindset that had he taken a little more time and possibly rapped on the outro instead of talking, it just would have been a better, more clever diss track. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Mob. I'm signing out. One.